All right, Old Man Observer here with a big content discussion or whatever you want to call it. It's not an actual content update, but a discussion of the content they've been working on. They posted into their Discord Friday, August 9th. And in addition to posting to the Discord, the actual announcement post itself, they also kind of responded a few different questions and whatnot. So you may have not seen those. You may have seen the announcements, but you may not have been able to see the individual dev responses. We have all that information collated here for you. So we're going to just jump right into it. They did post into the server status that basically we have maintenance on Tuesday, August 13th, and that I believe is the first time, and I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't flame me for this, but I don't think I've seen a patch announcement more than one day prior. So this is the first time they've done one, so it makes me feel like, ooh, maybe a little bit something more. But then they just drop a little bit of information about what's going into it. So they provided some status updates about what's going on. So the announcement post had a whole bunch of details, of which they even talked about what's going into the Tuesday's drop here. So let's just jump right into it. We wanted to provide you with a quick status update on game content. Not as detailed as you might expect, but still giving you some details on what we've been working on. During the weeks following the early access launch, our team has been focusing on fixing major issues and bugs to make your experience in game smoother. Now that major issues have been taken care of, it's time to focus on developing content and features again. Note that our team has been hard at work during the summer, and even though we took some time off the rest, which is part of why there hasn't been a big content drop until now. I mean, this to me is all reasonable. The people that wanted like just stuff already by now just flat out don't understand development. One, they don't understand that this is a little bit smaller company. It's not Blizzard, it's not Activision, it's not Electronic Arts. It's a small team of developers that come together from previous MMOs to build the MMO they want to build. In addition, it just made sense for them to focus on bug fixes. This is what would happen all the time. You get a new release, you drop it out, and there's just a period of stability and whatnot for the large number of players that they have. So this, to me, is very reasonable, and I think all the folks think there should have already been big content updates. Just don't understand the process that this company is trying to go through. So for the Tuesday patch, they basically provided a little bit of some details. Signs will no longer be examinable, and then they provided three little kind of just bug fixes that are going into it. I really thought that with the earlier announcement of the Tuesday patch that maybe some content would be added, and it sounds like there might be some contents, but they don't want to post exactly what it is. They did post the new skins and stuff, so I thought maybe some of those would go in, if not most, if not all, would go in. But they didn't put it on here, so we'll have to see what's going into it. As it is, I don't think a lot of people are going to be excited about this, so hopefully there is some content going in on this Tuesday patch. Things we are working on right now. We're working on new features and content, some big, some small. We have plans to make a bigger game during the autumn, which will include more dramatic changes than the patches we've done so far after the launch. We don't yet know what will get done with the update, 100% certainty, but here's a selection of things we're working on and which could make it to the update. So even the things we're talking about here in just a minute aren't necessarily guaranteed to go into it. Nobody's going to read these words and whatnot. They're going to be thinking, oh, this stuff is all coming by autumn. A couple of key things. So, not necessarily everything will go in. In addition, autumn, and folks may not know this, but winter starts officially, at least in the US here, December 21st. And so what they're saying is between now and the end of the year, we're going to have a big content update. Maybe they'll have more than one big content update. And then they're even saying all the stuff we're going to list for you may not even make it in. So, I think they're just trying to placate people and tell them, look, this is the stuff we're working on, which most of the stuff you're going to see is stuff they've already announced in the roadmap in some form or fashion. So jumping into it, you know, they've said they're going to work on combat. They know that what they got in is not the final version. And so here's a bullet point. I believe everybody should know that they're working on, combat system. In our next big drop, there will be some improvements and changes. And particularly, we want to improve the feel, you being in control of the situation, and adding interesting tactics. So in addition to improving the responsiveness and controls, we're also focusing on enemy behavior. So this, I don't believe, is any new update. If you didn't think that we're working on content, then I don't know what to tell you, or combat, I don't know what to tell you. P versus P, again, Knights and Soldiers are something they've talked about already. The key here, it's opt-in, and you can then do P versus P in other places in Lion C. So it does take a while, especially for where you're at, to get to that area. So this will definitely be, I think, a big boon for the people that want to do P versus P, but can't get it. I really think, though, in addition to that, they need to get some dueling system in. Friends just want to fight each other and stuff like that, and be able to test out some of the stuff that you've been working on. It's a new armor doing well and whatnot. So hopefully they can put dueling in there. I'm kind of disappointed that wasn't mentioned. I'm not a P versus P guy, but I know that that's what people find enjoyable and what's the kind of stuff that'll bring people to the game. Social features, while we can't go into too much detail right now, we can say the changes to the chat system are coming, along with the friends list and other nice additions. These enhancements are designed to make your in-game communication more enjoyable. Stay tuned to get ready for an experience of a new level of connectivity at Pax Day. And this is just another one that just kind of frustrates me. Anybody that thinks the chat system they have right now is going to be anywhere near the in-game state, again, I just don't know what to tell you. I mean, clearly they're going to do a better chat system that they have in a game right now. So, and this is exactly what they're saying. And this was already on the roadmap. Crafting. We're working on making the crafting system easier to navigate with the addition of a compendium, which allows browsing your unlocked recipes outside of the crafters. And as always, we're looking at balancing recipes and materials along with improving the progression in the crafting professions. A couple interesting point is I think it is needed to understand what your recipes are and to be able to see them other than at the crafting table. But from what I see, I think a big complaint with people is getting locked into crafting. Um, you're at a table, you're fletching arrows. It can take a long time to fletch a full, backpack full of arrows that you have, and you can't do anything else. You end up going outside of the game or doing something else. And I think that's a big issue with this game. I think people are okay with grinding, doing stuff and lots of stuff to get to there, but you're not grinding if you're just watching the screen. You're not actively doing anything. You're not actively participating. It definitely isn't good streaming content. It's not good gameplay loop. And I didn't see that in the bullet point. So hopefully they're trying to address not being able to do anything while you're crafting. I just don't think that's a positive of the game, and is actually a negative of the game, and actually probably a big negative of the game. I know they want time sinks; they don't want people just to instantly be whatever, but I also don't think they should lock people into 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes times of not being able to do anything. That's just too long. That's just way too long. Building. Later this year, we'll have an all new extensive set of beams, which are great for creative buildings. In addition, near the end of the year, we're planning to have an all new building tier set for stone houses. We'll also add some minor expansions like a few new signs. Ooh, more signs. Don't forget to vote for your favorite ones to be added in miscellaneous pieces. The one thing that stands out to me is a new building tier for stone houses. I already feel there's lots of stone in this game, and to then have a stone house, I don't know. I just feel everybody's building with stone. It's needed for foundations and stuff like that. And the other part is I think if they just focused on, excuse me, I think if you just focused on color variations, then a lot of people can be creative with what they got. I mean, sure, add new pieces. That's great. I think more pieces you add, the more creative people will be. But there's so much the exact same brown throughout the world, the exact same gray throughout the world. It would be nice to have variations like, we don't want you to have pink and purple and all these bright and blue and whatever, because that wouldn't be realistic to the timeline, right? But it absolutely should be okay to have more variations of browns. Allow them to pick within that. Same thing with gray and whatnot. So would be nice to have somewhat of a color palette to work with that's a variations of the tones they're trying to keep with it. Otherwise, I feel there's just a lot of similarities, at least in the colors of the houses. And this is probably the single biggest feature that I've been waiting for. I'm excited about this. You'll be able to build a marketplace in your village and sell goods to other players, along with the ability to earn gold from P versus E. Where gold is actually used in the game shall remain a mystery a bit longer. So there's two things I want to talk about in particular on this. And this may be me just honing in on the exact word they used here and reading way too much into it, but to build a marketplace in your village. They didn't use the word plot. And I wonder if they don't want a billion marketplaces throughout the world, and so they're making it more complex than uh, just a plot that it goes on. So maybe the size of a marketplace is going to be bigger than one plot can handle, or maybe it needs to span four plots or something. And maybe me just reading that word village. They didn't say plot. They said village, and I just kind of curious if, or maybe there's a limit of the number of marketplaces that can be in a certain area or something. So just curious to see where they go with that. And then the other part is where gold is used in the game shall remain a mystery a bit longer. This is real interesting. I think this is a difficulty a lot of MMOs has is inflation hurts new players joining the game. Most MMOs have more and easier way to acquire gold than to take gold out of the system. And so I'm curious what they're going to try to do to keep a balance of the gold and keeping it out as opposed to also within the system so that prices don't continue to go up and up and up. I don't think they'll be able to do it. I don't think I've ever seen an MMO be able to do it. It is what it is. You know, in real life, you have living expenses you can't not do. In games, you can just forego a lot of things. You don't worry about it. You just hoard and hoard and hoard and hoard. So, but I'm kind of curious what kind of sinks they're going to try to put into the game. Gold sinks they're going to try to put. Soloable P versus E content. So I think this is a little bit different. I don't think I've quite seen them specifically say, or this thing here. We're adding a series of P versus E sites to the world with the focus of a fun experience when soloing P versus E, which allows you to earn gold and buy kit from other players. We're hoping this will improve the game for those of you who want to craft a bit less and fight a bit more. So this will be an interesting one. Basically, going to add some P versus E content and soloable P versus E content. I will be honest here. I'm not 100% sure what they mean when they say buy kit from other players. So I guess buy stuff from other players. Um, and I guess kits just happen to be the word they use. I really don't understand the uses of that word within the sentence, if it means something else in particular, or they're just saying buy stuff from other people. And this one, pretty straightforward. I think everybody knows they want to get the Unreal Engine 5.4, and that's something they're going to be doing. And apparently 5.4 is going to be super great, so real curious to see how that does. I hope it doesn't keep bogging down my machine, though. Man, this is a very unoptimized game as it is right now. Compass, this is a huge one. The improved navigability in the world. We're looking at adding a compass to the game HUD. This will also have markers to the most important locations near you. I think this one speaks for itself. I think a lot of people have been wanting us to be able to kind of have their bearings a little bit better without having to bring their map up every time. So definitely a positive one. And I suspect this one is one that'll sneak in easier. This is not marketplaces, which is a huge ecosystem change to the game. This is UI update and whatnot. This is probably something we'll see sooner rather than later. Localization, this one obviously doesn't affect me a whole lot because the game's already in English and I speak and read English. But I'm sure there's plenty of folks that speak French and speak German that want to play the game in their native language. And then this was the end of the post. And, again, just more disclaimer stuff. While we cannot share as many details as we like right now, rest assured our team is hard at work developing new features, enhancing the existing one, and fixing bugs. Thank you for ongoing support and feedback. And there's plenty of excitement ahead. So to me, this whole Friday post that they did is just basically saying, a lot of stuff we're working on is the stuff that was already on the roadmap. Here's some slight variations of things that we kind of learned along the way and some new stuff that we talked about. And anybody that thinks they weren't working on this, I just don't know what to tell you. This is not a day after situation. This is developers who have real experience in delivering real MMOs. They're just now working together in their own little company. But they did jump into Discord and answer some questions and stuff. This one in particular, again, the only time frame you're going to get is two time frames: August or autumn, and not everything may make it. And that's all they're going to say right here. It's just like, we're going to get marketplaces. We're not going to tell you it's going to be tomorrow, the next day, or the day after. We're going to tell you it's basically by the end of the year, and it's going to be on one of those content upgrades. That's all you're going to get right now. And then this one here, I don't know if you played some games, World of Warcraft, like before they have a new content or something that they do. Sometimes they'll do some fun things, and they had like a plague one that kind of went throughout the world. When you got the plague, then you can give to someone else and give to someone else and give to someone else. And I think this would be cool too before they launch to have a Zabayan invasion or something like that, because everything's going to be wiped out anyway. The key here though is they have tons of stuff to work on. Everybody knows the game's not ready. They want to get to live, and they may not have time to be able to implement a cool little feature like that because it's not an MVP to go live. And they want to focus and get their game built to be able to go live, not for the fun, nice to have. That's something they might do in a 1.1 or a 2.0, but probably not going to see in a 1.1. Again, this is just another post talking about it is a small team. It's not Activision, it's not Blizzard, it's not Electronic Arts or anybody like that. It's a small team, and they have to prioritize what features they're going to work on. And it's just the reality of the situation. The stuff will come, and folks are just gonna have to be patient. The game is fun, and I know people want it, but they're just got to be patient. Horses, horses are coming, and they're coming one day. What we got here? And again, this is someone else going, "Hey, we need chat improvements," and it's like, yes, I know they put that in the announcement, so they're going to enhance chat, but they're not going to provide any specific details at the time. And the reason they don't is again, if they say anything and they're going to deliver it exactly this way, if they don't deliver that, then everybody gets that much more upset. So you just have to work with the fact that they're going to improve chat. This one is an interesting one because I've talked about this on my abandoned plots and the wipe that's coming out for them in my previous news announcements, and I felt the 120 minutes was too short of a time, and that it's not that hard to go over. And he specifically says you'd be surprised. Anyhow, we're still reviewing the criteria. It might be stricter still to be determined. The bottom line is hopefully when they come up with their criteria, they run it against the database to see how many plots would have been wiped so that you can kind of refine it until you get kind of the number you're looking for without necessarily removing plots that people are going to come back or uh, just waiting for the content updates or whatever's going to happen. I thought 120 minutes is too easy. This person thought 120 minutes is too easy, but they're going to know what the real number is, and we'll see what it is. But I looked at the plots around me. I didn't see a lot of plots are going to get removed. Recycling they talked about quite a bit, or everybody's been wanting to get that. And it's interesting the wording they have here. It's like recycling for crafts is something we like to have. There's no ETA on it, so it's not important to them right now. You just got to throw those spears on the ground. It is what it is. And it's not breaking the game. It's not stopping. I'd rather see marketplaces. I'd rather see P versus P updates because that's going to bring people into the game. I'd rather see the big stuff get in. Recycling is just, I'm sorry, that's way at the bottom of the list. Character transfers, character transfer is something we'd like to do. However, right now we need to figure out how to transfer the plot and the building. Why they have to figure that, I don't know, but we'll talk about that. Do we remove everything and provide a character with resources used? What about inventory? This also means the plot the character used might not be available in the new shard, etc. But I think this game doesn't lend itself to transferring the plot as it is. It just doesn't. It's unlikely to get the exact same spot that you had. And if you don't have the exact same spot that you had, the land's not going to always be able to fit to what you put down on the plot at that time. So you have to assume you're just going to be small chances of getting the plot area that you want. So therefore, you can't move the plot as is. And so you either put everything into some super uber unlimited resource bag that they can have available for, I don't know, a month, 2 months, whatever it is, and then it starts to decay or whatever. So they have to place it somewhere. Or, quite frankly, plots and resources don't come over. And they can transfer the character. And then if they want to remove the plot, they can pull the plot up and then place a plot down in their new server. Well, I guess you'd have to at least remove the plot if the character's gone or if you don't have any characters. But the resources, I think, complicates it. What if I have four plots and I built on those plots, but I made them all clan plots? And we built tons of stuff on a huge building, all kinds of resources. I didn't gather those resources. And are you going to really allow me to take something that potentially 50 people gathered and put on my plot over to a whole nother server? And so I think if you try to solve the resource problem, then you're just not going to allow character transfers. I think a lot of people would be happy understanding if it's made clear, and we know through Pax Dei that people have a hard time reading. But if you make it clear that when you transfer, you only transfer your character, and people would be happy that they have their skill sets. If I go to a new server and my carpentry's 35 and my winemaking's whatever, I can get back on my feet quickly. And chances are, if you're transferring to another server, you're transferring because there's probably people there you want to play with who already probably have plots and resources and whatnot. So I think the resource thing overcomplicates the transfer stuff, and I think a lot of people would be very happy with transferring their character, at least the skill sets they have. Those are what takes time. Resources can be reacquired and probably are already there from a clan standpoint. And he just clarifies again, they think the resources are important. So, you know, do a poll on it, Pax Day. Let's find out. You have three options: no transfers, transfers with only the character itself, transfer the resources, right? And I think you're going to see that, and I guess you have to put something on there, but transfer with resources 3 years from now, or transfer and just character only in the next, I don't know, 6 months versus no transfer at all. I think you're going to see character transfer in the next 6 months going to be super, super popular. People don't want to wait 3 years to have that option because you got to figure out the resources that might not have a solution to it, a solution that you're going to be happy with. This one's interesting because everybody's talking about the timelines and what it should be like, and magic didn't exist in that time. But the word that they used here to answer this particular person's post, and I'm not going to read their whole post, but he does respond. We don't pretend to be 100% historically correct. Our game is based upon what we call verisimilitude, which allows us to take some liberty with the context, like magic spells, etc. So I had to look it up. I had to see exactly what it was. The quality of seeming true, however, the appearance of being real. So, yeah, magic isn't real, but you can do it in a way that the world still feels realistic. And just like if you were to see a car drive by the world, it would take you out of that setting, right? And so they aren't necessarily going to do things that take us out of the setting in a way. So they want to make sure that stuff that they put into the world and in the game feel right for that time period, right? So, I think it's kind of comes up about what should go into the game, how it should be like, what's the settings that it's based upon, and so forth and so on. This one's just to clarify, and for me, I think P versus P is important. I think that brings people to the game that'll buy stuff. They'll buy stuff that I'm going to provide. But it's not something I'm necessarily wanting to partake in. Maybe I'll do it, one day, one hour or something like that. But I have no interest in P versus P, and this here just clarifies. I mean, P versus P is always opt in. There's never a situation where you're forced to do P versus P. I think chess name is important. I really don't think the labels are tremendously helpful. First of all, you know, I don't really need a sign to tell me wood. I probably have wood over here and building pieces over there and flowers over here and berries over there. But what I need to know is this is where I put my fine wooden planks. These are where I put my fine wooden beams. Like the one box, quickly get to that one, especially if I haven't been there for a while. And I think labeling chess. I mean, we got to get text in the game. We got to get text. We got to get over this. We can't put text in the game because people are going to do bad things to other people. Uh, First of all, tech's already in the game. So there's nothing to stop me from running around going whatever that is that they're afraid of being typed in. They already have a moderation system somewhat. You can't just type everything. Apply the same thing to the text labels. So I could run around and say that today. And every MMO that I've ever seen, you could put text in the game. I just don't understand this great concern with text. Text is already in. You're going to continue to have text. Just put it in, and don't worry about localization. Who cares about localization? I mean, the people that speak that language can put it in their language. So if you're in a clan that's already typing in German, they can put their labels in German. That's for them. That's not for me to come by and read it. Same way for my English one. So I don't get this whole hung up on being able to put text in the game. You can already put text in the game, and it's just stopping a quality of a life improvement of the system that everybody desperately wants to have. That makes no sense. Everybody, all games have. There's so many online games and MMOs where you just type in text. I don't get the hesitation here on Pax Day's part. Um, this was just a little interesting one. Someone was talking about when you have resources spawn in the exact same spot. And I've seen this where we've had a resource and then it's not just in the same spot, but like literally on top of each other. I kind of hate it. I got this one grape spot and I have to pick up 100 flax before I can get the grapes that I want. So, he does answer. I say it's intended to spawn in the same location, but not intended to spawn right on top or inside each other. So I've definitely seen that. So hopefully they can address that because it's annoying to pick up a whole bunch of some resource that you don't want to get the resource that you do want. And a reminder, here was the roadmap. Um, a lot of what they in this post is in there and somewhat implied in there. We'll definitely see stuff at the end of the year, and then going into I guess Q1 and Q2 of 2025, we'll probably start to see some more stuff. But for me, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff I wasn't aware of. I didn't doubt they were working on this content. I just feel like they're working on the content. I just am a little bit more realistic, I guess, than a lot of people. Um, they obviously had to do bug fixes. They had to stabilize the environment. Writing code is hard, folks. It takes time, and it's going to take time to get these features into the gameplay. But here's was the original roadmap. They didn't talk about farming, so farming is probably something they want to do, but not something that's necessarily going to be in by the end of the year. But who knows? Maybe they have a breakthrough in farming, and makes it into the game. So, thank you so much. If you like this kind of content, then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That lets me know this is the type of stuff that you want. I felt that this was something that would be valuable to the community because I think everybody sees the announcement posts, but they don't necessarily see some of the back and forth that the developers have in Discord and even some other locations. So, thank you all again, and see you in the next one.